This video is for anyone who used to call themselves a leftist, even a liberal. I used to be pretty extreme leftist. I, at one point, had called myself an anarcho-socialist. I did the protests, all the things. My whole life. So I'm over 40. Some cracks started happening in my worldview around 2016. So I had been in college in the early 2000s, and I was going for sociology. So as you can imagine, I'm sure you've heard it before, that 100% of my professors were Marxists, leftists, just 100%. And we're very vocal about this. And the way that they taught, leftism was basically the framework through which they taught. So it was very biased. Everything that I was learning was coming through an extremely leftist filter. But even before that, I was on the left, and I had always been a very, very strong ally of the LGBT movement. I was very vocal about equal marriage. I was super excited when they had finally passed equal marriage across the United States. Where I live, it was one of the first states that actually pushed that through. But again, like I said, there were cracks starting to happen around 2016 when Trump got elected the first time in 2015-16. I was devastated. I really thought that Hillary was going to win. I was actually not a fan of Hillary at all. I wanted Bernie. I went to the Democratic National Convention to protest because of what the DNC was doing. They basically stole it from Bernie. He was supposed to be the nominee. But, they were so adamant. They messed with it. They definitely messed with it. The people wanted Bernie. There was just no doubt about it. There was so much energy behind him. He should have been the candidate. Anyway, so once that happened, when they pushed him out, I kind of just stopped paying attention. But I was kind of shocked that Trump won, and I thought that because of what I had heard about him, I felt like, oh man, the LGBT community, I'm afraid for them. What's going to happen? Are we going to have to go backwards, But around that same time, I was noticing that I was feeling a little uncomfortable with the idea that anyone who said that they were trans and that they were a woman was going to be allowed into the bathrooms. Like that situation Like, I'm not denying that they're actual trans people. Like, that happens. And it's a psychological disorder. And there are plenty of trans people that say that. And that's what everybody has always said up until like this very recent point in history. And I was always very supportive of trans rights. So I was afraid for their safety, you know, but I was also starting to see these stories start to pop up about men pretending to be trans in order to gain access to women's spaces. And this is not okay. Because once you break through that barrier that should be there, there's a reason that we separate men and women in women's bathrooms. Like, that's for women's safety. Once you break through that barrier, it's hard to close that back up, because now you've got people who are scared because pretty much they've been lied to, because we've been lied to about a lot of the statistics about how many trans people are targeted in hate crimes and how many are actually unaliving themselves due to persecution, actual persecution, because I feel like a lot of it now is just, it's just made up stuff. Like, nobody really cares how people want to present themselves, how they want to dress. There are some people, there's always going to be some people who are, you know, rude, mean, even violent. There's going to be those few, but the vast majority of people do not care how you dress or present, or if you want to go get cosmetic surgery and pay for it, and go through that. That's a lot to go through. That's all fine. What really killed it for me was insisting that kids also get these surgeries and permanently change their bodies and permanently sterilize themselves at 12, 13? Like, kids do not know who they are. I went through phases. I went through an androgynous tomboy phase, and I came out of it, and I'm no longer a tomboy. And some people never come out of it, but they're tomboys. Like, just, that used to be a thing. Now, if you feel like you're not as feminine as you should, whatever that means, then that automatically makes you trans. Like, that's not what trans is. And I think that a lot of trans people find that insulting, because a lot of the pushback that's been happening has also been coming from actual transsexual people. So, I mean, that's one big issue that made me change, kind of have more of a nuanced opinion. And I mean, I used to have the HRC sticker on my car. When I needed to sell my car and get another one, I was broke and could have sold it, but I didn't. I donated it to the HRC because that's how much I believed in the cause. And now it's like I don't really know what to believe. Because every single thing that I have believed as a leftist has been turned upside down in the past few years. And there's no solid foundation that any of it is based off of. And I guess that's another part of my journey through this is, the spiritual aspect that kind of plays into it. It's so hard to narrow all this down because it's such a huge topic when you're talking about like your entire worldview that has just changed. But I'll leave the spiritual aspect to another video because it's just too much to get into. What really sped this 180 up is when they tried to assassinate Trump twice. Because there have been little things that I started disagreeing with the left on, and I started seeing the behavior of people on the left when they celebrated the murder of that CEO, the health insurance CEO. I was just kind of shocked at all of the reactions of people like my friends, like on Facebook. And because these are all people who are supposedly so compassionate, and it just wasn't making any sense. All of my hippie, peaceful friends were celebrating violence when these are the people that are supposed to be helping to build up a better world. They were celebrating the tearing down of the old. And I guess I was naive to not see that that was there. That was there in me. I remember that there was a certain time where I was getting so filled with despair and hate for the oppressor that I could have and did excuse violent means. It's the ideology itself. It roots in, and it's like evil that just spreads, and you don't realize it because on the surface you think you're doing this for a good cause, good intentions, because you want peace, you want people to be equal, you want freedom, you want more support and care for others, you want to protect others, but really there's so much less of that actual work of building up, and there's so much more of trying to tear down. I did not see it like this before, but now, because I have let myself hear the other side and I've humanized them, I actually got to know prominent people on the right who make very good arguments, have good points, are reasonable, who have been demonized and vilified by the left. And I'm listening to what they actually are saying, and I'm like, the left has it wrong. They're wrong to demonize all these people and just put them in this box called fascist. That's not what this is. Of course, there's going to be, certain fringes that are more authoritarian. But if you're really looking for that, you'll find it on the left abundantly. You don't need to even look on the fringes. It's like mainstream to be authoritarian. And I just find it hilarious that everything that the left is screaming about and accusing the right of, they are doing. They're accusing the right of being racist. And yet, they're the ones who are saying that if you are a certain race, you can't achieve what you want to unless we help you. It's so condescending. Because there is nothing that anybody can't do that I can do. Like, I can't do anything more than anybody else. Like, everybody has all these different circumstances. I was born into a lower middle class, working class family. And that's what I am right now. I mean, I haven't really moved up. And I don't know, because I always used to be one of those people that talked about, like, oh, well, you don't understand because we have white privilege. But what is that exactly? I'm struggling. I don't make much money at all. But I'm grateful that I have a job, that I have a car, that I have an apartment, and that I'm with someone who is able to pay rent. He can pay the rent. I can't. I pay for other things, but like, we struggle. And he has 2 jobs, and I'm driving his daughter back and forth because her school is far. And I had to wait to find a job that was actually flexible and blah, blah, blah. So everybody has their like situation, health situations. But there's nothing that like a black person can't do that I can do. There's no right that a gay person doesn't have. Like, we're all equal. And with the left calling people sexist, it's like, well, wasn't feminism about women? And now all of a sudden it's about trans women. So not women who want to be women. So men. And I still have that like cringy feeling in my stomach when I say stuff like that, because it's like, I know how this comes off to other people and all my liberal or leftist friends. Like I so badly don't want to hurt other people's feelings. But it's like, how much longer can we just ignore reality? I don't have all the answers. But I'm not going to pretend. I will call anybody whatever they want to be called. I'll call them that. I'll try. I've messed it up a few times. But you can't expect society to call you something that isn't apparent. Like, the entire society isn't going to just like bend to you. It's not all about you. And that's another thing. I feel like leftism has really encouraged narcissism to flourish, because it's so inherently selfish, because everything is about the self. Liberalism is like pure individualism, but it pretends to be about these groups. Like, at the same time, it's generalizing everybody into these large groups, and they're all supposed to have solidarity with each other, even if their interests are at complete odds. Like I was saying, women and trans people. Or like hardcore Muslims and the entire LGBT community. What was with that Queers for Palestine thing? Because I'm sure you've heard this before, but if you were in Palestine and people found out that you were gay, they would throw you off a building. We don't do that in America. But of course, no, we hate America. We love Palestine. Go live in Palestine. See how you like it. But then, they also hate Israel. There's just so much. It's just way too complex for one video. But where everything really came to a head for me is the Charlie Kirk assassination. Because I had been listening to people on the right. I had opened my mind up enough that I was able to listen to Ben Shapiro and Matt Walsh and Megyn Kelly and Charlie Kirk. So I had been listening to a few people, and I was like starting to understand where the right was coming from and understand their worldview, and things that what they were saying was like, oh, well, that's actually not racist. That's actually not sexist. And that's actually completely logical, and on and on. And if you actually listen, to their entire argument, to hear their entire worldview without getting like so upset you can't even hear what they're saying anymore. If you're like actually actively listening to understand rather than to try to make your next point, you would find out that The right-wing worldview is not racist. It's not sexist. And it's not fascist. And everything that the left claims that the right is, there is a very strong argument to claim those same exact things for the left, which is what I found pretty funny. But anyway, when Charlie got murdered, I was so shocked, and my stomach hurt for days afterwards. I was like totally devastated at the reaction, because I knew him now. Like, I celebrated with him and his friends when he saw that he was featured on South Park, getting a kick out of it. I was getting a kick out of him getting a kick out of it. And Cartman's character, like, getting down all of his little, like, quirks and stuff. And he changed my mind on some things, along with others. Still disagree with him on certain things, but I listened to his whole argument for things that people thought were so obnoxious. And I was just like, well, you didn't actually listen then. You got a little snippet and stopped listening to the explanation. So they've made a caricature of who he was in their mind, and they laughed and cheered on at his murder and called for the murder of his kids and his wife. And there were so many disgusting videos. I was horrified. And I spoke out on Facebook. And I lost 20 friends. Good riddance, I guess. I just can't believe what the left has become, because to me it used to be about like free speech and protecting people, standing up for the little guy. But I'm just seeing now, it's just mob mentality. And cancel culture. And actual fascism. And I just can't be a part of it anymore. So I'm going to be speaking about a lot of these different topics. I touched on a few in this. I know this is really long. I didn't mean it to be this long, but I'm going to be talking about things like the left and the right, the U.S., how we make the world a better place, how we move forward from this. I'm going to be talking about spirituality and religion, Western civilization, just a whole bunch of things. And if you are a leftist, or you were, and now you're caught in the middle like I am right now, I feel like I'm just, I don't really know what to believe anymore. I have some right-wing opinions and I have some left-wing opinions, and I'm just holding on for this ride because lots of things are shifting right now. So if you want to hear more about that, or want to let me know about what your thoughts are on what's actually happening, stick around and, shoot me a comment, like and subscribe. and I'll catch you next time.